Good morning, everyone. The third meeting of the House Standing Committee on Local Government is called to order. Will the committee assistant please call the roll?
Representative Ballman. Present. Representative Bray. Present. Representative Brown.
Here.
Representative Chester Burton.
Present.
Representative Doan.
Here.
Representative Fleming. Present. Representative Freeland.
Present.
Representative Griffey.
Here.
Representative Hampton.
Here.
Representative Hart. Representative Imes.
Present.
Representative Lewis. Here. Representative Maddox. Representative Meredith. Representative Raymer.
Here.
Representative Rorks. Representative Stalker.
Present.
Representative Witten.
Present.
Vice Chair Neighbors. Here. Chair Flannery.
Here. It appears we do have a quorum present. We are constituted to do business. Do any of the members have any introductions they'd like to make? All right, we have 6 bills for consideration on the agenda today. Let's try to be mindful of time. I am going to go out of order. We do have a couple members that are, I believe, in VMAP next door. First up, I'm going to call House Bill 403. Representative Deanna Gordon could make her way to the table.
Good morning, Chairman and members. I'm Representative Deanna Frazier Gordon, District 81 in Madison County, and I do have 2 guests. I'll let them introduce themselves.
If the guests could introduce, if you all could introduce yourselves for the record, please.
My name is Jimmy Cornelison. I'm Madison County Coroner.
And my name is Gary again. I'm the Fayette County Coroner.
All right, you all may proceed.
Okay. House Bill 403 is a very simple measure. It simply gives the coroners a 6-month grace period to complete continuing education. All
right, we have a motion. You're welcome to continue. We have a second on the motion. You're welcome to continue. If not, we will take a vote. All right. Any members have any questions? Appears not. We have a motion and a second. Seeing no other questions, we're ready for a vote. All those in favor vote aye. All those against vote nay. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Ballman. Representative Bray. Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
Yes.
Representative Fleming. Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton.
Yes.
Representative Hart. Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis. Representative Maddox. Representative Meredith. Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rorks.
Yes.
Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Yes. Okay, with more than 11 yes votes, the bill does pass. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass on the House floor. Thank you.
Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Another bill I'm going to take out of order. It's last on the agenda, House Bill 555, Representative Chris Freeland. Representative Freeland, if you could introduce yourself and have your guest introduce himself for the record, please.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Chris Freeland, 6th District Representative.
J.D. Cheney, Kentucky League of Cities.
Thank you. You all may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. While House Bill 555 is a technical bill, The purpose is anything but. This legislation will keep our small cities in compliance with their annual audit work while also maintaining transparency and accountability with public funds. And I want to thank
Thank you, Chair. May I ask 2 questions?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Will you please tell me how many cities the bill would affect and why double the time for DLG could extend the auditing requirements for smaller cities? Why isn't 9 months enough?
it would impact about 97 cities, and I'll let JD answer the reason for that.
We didn't get a say. We worked with the state auditor's office on the legislation as well. I think they have some representatives here. The issue with this is GASB. At the end of the day, we have CPAs. We have a supply problem in terms of getting these audits completed, and the number of smaller jurisdictions that are able to engage with an independent auditor, get the audit complete, turned in within the timelines, is dwindling. I mean, the compliance standards. So this helps with that, and this gives DLG a little additional flexibility if you have a municipality that's making good faith progress, that has engaged at least with the auditor, has it under contract, and DLG sees that they're making good faith effort to be able to grant that extension a little bit better, so that way they can get their municipal road aid funds or their CDBG funds for those major projects that they have. Not just being derelict in not performing the audit at all. So it gives that additional flexibility for them to grant an extension if they're making good faith progress.
And my second question is, what is the reason to modify the Eastern Kentucky Exposition Center auditing requirements, and does it make it different than the Kentucky Exposition Center? I just like to say KEC requirements for Louisville.
The city of Pikeville has an intense management contract with the East Kentucky Expo Center. They manage that, and so this would allow them to have the option to put that in their city audit, or allow them to, or the Expo Center to contract with with an independent auditor and do an independent audit, rather than requiring the state auditor to come in every single time. Representative Rourke, I don't know if that differs from the Kentucky Expo Center, but I know that relationship between the city of Pikeville and the Expo Center is extremely tight, and it would make good sense for them to be able to do the audits together.
Thank you. That's all.
Do we have any other questions from members of the committee? Any other statements from those presenting? If not, I believe we are ready for a vote. All those in favor vote aye. All those against vote no. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Ballman. Aye. Representative Bray. Aye. Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
Yes.
Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Freeland.
I'll vote yes in committee. No. Yes.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
I'll vote yes, and also I'd like to record my presence and a yes vote for the previous bill.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis. Representative Maddox. Representative Meredith. Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
I'd like to explain my vote. I'm going to vote pass today. I still have a few outstanding questions that I'll get with the bill sponsor to address. Thank you.
Representative Stalker.
Yes. Yes.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Vote aye. All right, there are at least 11 yes votes, the bill passes. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass on the House floor. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
All right, is Representative DJ Johnson, see here? All right, we're going to take up House Bill 321. All right, gentlemen, if you all could introduce yourself for the record, please, and then please proceed with testimony.
State Representative DJ Johnson, representing the 13th District.
J.D. Cheney, still with the Kentucky League of Cities.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 321 is about enabling more individuals to serve on local planning commissions and focusing required training on the important area of housing supply and accessibility. The bill gives appointed members of planning commissions and boards of adjustments a longer period of time to obtain initial orientation, which will be up to 1 year after their appointment, and it expands the time frame for those appointed members to complete their continuing education requirements, requiring the 8 hours to be completed every 4 years rather than every 2 years. The legislation does not change the training amount or time requirements for planning staff.
We have a motion and a second. Any further comments from those presenting?
I appreciate the motion. It got really technical after that. So.
Mr. Cheney?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This does have this focus on 1 hour of training for orientation and 1 hour of training for continuing education. 1 hour has to be devoted to the training on how land use law impacts housing accessibility and housing supply. So it really hones in these planning commission members and staff about how the policies they make affects access to housing.
Any questions or comments for members of the committee? Recognize Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's also very important that we hone in on the comprehensive plan process, because that's happening in Lexington, and unfortunately members of the community don't really understand and or know about the comprehensive plan, and things are in that plan that dictate the direction that we're going in terms of planning and zoning. So the training that we're talking about here, it would make sense that the planning and zoning aspect be taken into consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anybody else from the committee seeking to be recognized? Seeing none, I believe we are ready for a vote. All those in favor vote aye. All those in favor vote nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Ballman. Representative Bray. Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
Yes.
Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton. Representative Hart.
Yes.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis. Representative Maddox. Representative Meredith. Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Yes.
Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Yes. The bill does pass. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass on the House floor. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Okay, I believe we are ready to get back in order on the agenda here for the bills being considered. I'm going to call first on the agenda House Bill 18, Representative Hodgson, if he could come forward. All right, Representative Hodgson, if you can introduce yourself and any guest you have for the record. Also, we do have a committee substitute on this. Should have been an email to all members. Do I have a motion on the sub? Have a motion by Representative Brace, second by Representative Bauman. All those in favor of the committee sub, vote aye. Any against, vote no. Ayes have it. All right, the sub is properly before us. If you could discuss the committee sub and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Hodgson, Jefferson County, Rep 36. The committee sub made some changes that we worked on in concert with the urban planning folks. It creates some development incentives for infill development in urban areas, and as well as adds a moratorium on zoning district classification changes, extends the one we passed last year for 2 more years because they've not finished their work in that area. And, that's the nature of the sub here. If I could speak on the bill, the quiet single-family zone neighborhood with local home ownership exemplifies the American dream that many families aspire to. Some suburban areas are seeing attempts to insert high-density apartments and development into these single-family areas, straining the infrastructure to the breaking point and fundamentally changing the quiet character of the existing neighborhoods forever. Local control is very important, and local elected officials need to weigh in on this process. But right now, using some new schemes for development approval, unelected zoning boards are approving these increased housing density projects, like inserting multi-story apartments in single-family neighborhoods. This additional housing density downgrades traffic and congestion to unacceptable and unsafe levels, with no requirement to address the infrastructure and no vote of elected officials who have heard the concerns of the property owners. This practice amounts to changing the zoning characteristics of an area without holding the public zoning hearings and the vote of elected officials that are expected under the KRS. So, bottom line, House Bill 18 establishes zoning change, traffic capacity standards, and congestion restrictions on new development approvals in areas that have adopted planning and zoning pursuant to.
Second.
Good to go, sir.
All right, any questions from the committee members? Okay, Representative Stalker.
Question is, so we're looking to extend what we'd already put in place, which was a 1-year moratorium building anything new.
No, this is a 1-year moratorium on changing the definitions of the zoning code. Okay. Not a moratorium on building things, just a definition on changing the housing development code.
That was from the previous session.
That's right.
And so you're in this bill, you were asking to extend that for another 2 years.
That's correct.
So this would not give local zoning boards the opportunity to make adjustments for new developments.
It does extend the moratorium on changing the fundamental zoning code that's been in place for a long time, yes.
Okay. May I speak on the bill, please?
Yes, please.
So my concern with this is my district in Kentucky, District 34, I have a lot of areas within my district where we have density built in. Mm-hmm. You see that in the Highlands, you see that some in Crescent Hill, where you're looking at maybe a single family home that exists that is now a multifamily. And I have real concerns with the fact that we have had for many years a housing crisis on our hands. And if we continue to put restrictions, particularly from the state doing that to the local level, which is concerning, I don't know how we're ever going to get across the finish line and build more housing. I think density is the key, and this concerns me that we are restricting local communities to have the control within, their own areas to figure out how can they have some solutions at the table to provide more housing, and particularly housing at varying levels. So this seems to go against a whole nother effort that we're up against at the state. Is there something else that I'm missing?
I do agree with you that we need density, but we need it in the areas where it's appropriate and the infrastructure can handle it. When you have a 2-lane road that 2 emergency vehicles cannot pass on, and we're trying to put, say, 300 more apartments on that, that's unsafe. And I think in a situation like that, the local elected officials need to weigh in, not just an unelected planning and zoning board. So this doesn't stop you from doing density development. It just you have to have weigh in and a vote by the elected officials, not an unelected planning and zoning board. And that's to provide adequate representation for our citizens that are affected by these things. There are, again, in the committee sub to the bill, there are enhancements to the density development incentives in an urban area. If you have more than a 50% residential component, it makes it simpler for you to get development incentives to put in a residential development like that in an urban area where there is existing infrastructure.
May I ask a follow-up question, please?
Yes.
Thank you for that explanation. So can you help me better understand then, are you telling me that do we have local officials, like, so particularly in Metro Council, for example, are these folks not being, are you, I guess, who has brought this to you? What is the real concern? I guess I just find it difficult to believe that our boards, our zoning boards, that they would be making such gross oversteps. You know what I mean? Because I do care about the safety and the security and making sure emergency vehicles could get through. We definitely don't want to create so much density that it becomes problematic and that there's unintended consequences. I just don't know how prevalent of a problem that this really is, and maybe who has expressed some concern.
Number one issue in my district, a lot of the areas in the east, a lot of areas in the south, and I was surprised that the local zoning board did not take more care in considering the input of citizens and emergency services officials as well, which is why I brought the bill.
All right. Representative Rourke, you're recognized to speak or ask questions.
Thank you, Chair. I did just want to briefly make a comment and then potentially ask a question if it goes that way. But I did want to just kind of summarize what I know to be the case happening in Louisville Metro for the viewing public. Of course, there is the land development reform effort happening at Louisville Metro, which is getting stakeholder feedback from the public right now. Back when I was at Metro Council as a legislative aide, participated heavily in those conversations, especially around accessory dwelling units, and even worked with a grant for AARP to help incorporate some of those changes that were made, and then also educate the public about what those are. But then also there is the next layer that we have the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Planning and Zoning Board, and other subcommittees that work underneath them. And they are responsible for, as we just heard with the previous bill, being trained and then weighing in on what policies already exist on our books at local ordinance, with local ordinances. So from there, they can recommend that the Metro Council approve or deny a zoning change, and then it goes to the Metro Council. Now, Metro Council members are prohibited from speaking on a zoning change before they vote, as to remain neutral, which often creates issues for Metro Council members, especially with coordinating with the public to be able to say how they feel about a proposed zoning change, and it kind of stifles what they're allowed to say, and really having empathy for the neighbor, unless it's a very technical question that they're able to ask for legality purposes. But then ultimately the Metro Council will vote to approve or deny the zoning change based on the recommendation from the Planning Commission. So from the Planning Commission, they can also add binding elements to require certain things happen on a property, which I have seen be able to mitigate some of the harm that can be done by some of these zoning changes. But ultimately, then we get into, if a zoning change is approved by the Metro Council, then we end up in a space where we have our zoning enforcement that needs to be able to hold people accountable for when they're bad actors or not doing what they're supposed to be doing. In speaking with the bill sponsor, of course, learning about some of these loopholes that exist for where people are doing things on properties that may not actually be the spirit of the way that they were zoned, and creating problems for neighbors with things like traffic and drainage, environmental concerns, things that neighbors really should be very concerned about. In my district, I'll say that there's a lot of problems with it being the wrong type of fit for the neighborhood characteristics and the infrastructure not supporting those improvements. So I think the bill sponsor and I are in agreement on wanting to see more infill, wanting to see more missing middle housing in our communities, but I think we disagree on maybe the approach. I don't think that we should be putting a moratorium on Metro Council making zoning changes with the land development code. They can obviously still change zoning on a one-off basis when those cases are before them, but to the actual land development code itself, which is huge, and our city had based itself off of a history of redlining. So I think these changes are needed. They're important. There's a lot of systemic historical context behind it. And I have seen the work of those planning and zoning staff from Louisville Metro take very diligent care with updating the land development code. So I think when we talk about local control, it's important that we are allowing for them to make their own laws when it comes to zoning. And also, I think with being able to allow for the local folks to be the ones to decide whether a property owner needs to be the one living on site when certain zoning changes are made. So requiring that a property owner live on site when we have multifamily housing going in instead of single family. So I have seen that be a very needed protection, and I appreciate the bill sponsor incorporating that into the bill. I just disagree that we as the state should be requiring that. I think that should be a local decision. But I do think that we need to be monitoring bad actors and giving local governments more tools to combat those bad actors and just not letting them ask forgiveness instead of permission from our local bodies. But I do think there are some things in this bill that I agree with. I think there is some good compromise language in here. But I, at the end of the day, think that keeping Louisville with its hands tied for making their own zoning changes to the land development code, I don't support that.
Representative Bauman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Thank you, gentlemen from Jefferson, for bringing this forward. I have a situation in my district right now that I think is your proposal will help with. On a 2-lane road, about a mile long, we've got 3 major developments, one that is just completed, one that is underway, and one that is just started on a road that cannot support the traffic currently, much less the addition of these hundreds of apartments. So I'm thinking that my constituents support this very much because you are going to strengthen their position to push back against these developments that end with 3-story apartments overlooking homes that have been in that neighborhood for 60, 80 years. Is that the case, sir?
Yes, it doesn't prevent development from happening, but it does put that decision in the hands of elected officials that have to hear from the voting public and the constituents and have public hearings about changing the character of that neighborhood and take a vote. Right now, that vote happens with an unelected planning commission, and certainly my constituents and probably yours have not felt adequately represented by that process, and they don't have a path for appeal.
That's right. I appreciate it very much. And I'm very concerned by what the lady said as well regarding Metro Council persons not being able to speak on these developments as they go through the process. They're elected to represent their constituents, and the fact that they can't take a position publicly as they represent those interests of their people is very concerning to me. I'll be looking into that as well, but I'll be voting yes today and encourage all my colleagues to do the same. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Looks like we have Representative Brown is next up. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, thank you for this bill and some understanding. I think that the comprehensive plan is the planning document that we have in Fayette County that leads and directs the direction that we're going to go in terms of development and the types of development that we're going to have. Your bill is talking about specifically Louisville Metro. It's not talking about the whole state.
There's a portion that specifically addresses the consolidated local government, which is the moratorium on changing the land development code for 2 more years. It's the last paragraph of the bill, section 6. But
we've been having issues in Fayette County with the comprehensive plan and the planning commission and subsequently the council and its votes as far as the planning and development and the long-range aspects of Fayette County. I'm still not sure about what I feel about this bill and what it will do for LFUCG, but it is a concern all around, and I think that the comprehensive plan is the linchpin for everything that we're talking about in terms of land use. I'm not sure exactly how I'll vote on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else on the committee seeking to be recognized? I believe we have Representative Fleming. Anyone else that I've missed? All right, looks like you're last. All right, go ahead, Representative Fleming. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity. I think there's been a couple comments that are made, and I agree with the concerns outside of the Wilson Expressway that there are issues and problems, concerns, particularly when I was on Metro Council for quite a few years on the infrastructure not supporting these type of developments, which is a big concern. There are many 2 lanes that fire departments and police and so forth have a difficult time getting to what they're called to do and so forth. So that is a concern that I have. I think some folks within Jefferson County ought to go outside the Beltway and see exactly what's going on and what's happening and how the infrastructure is not fulfilling. That's why we pumped in about $600 to $700 million in Jefferson County, which I appreciate the General Assembly doing that to help the roads and help the systems and so forth. But having having this is a concern. Now, on the other side of the coin, I am concerned, and from a development standpoint, and making sure that there are incentives to provide housing and so forth. But I just wanted to stress that I think we need to be mindful of what we're trying to accomplish in terms of making a more of a livable county, particularly in Jefferson County. I'll be passing on this, and I've talked with the sponsor about this on this bill. And there's a couple of things I need to get clarified in my mind from a business incentive point of view. But having and witnessing the process that the planning and zoning has gone through in Jefferson County, it's rather concerning. And I think the purpose of what the sponsor has done is admirable, and I appreciate his efforts. I just want to have some things clarified in my mind in order to go forward with this. So, but I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. All right. Looks like we have one person signed up to speak on this bill. Liam Gallagher, if you could make your way to the table, please. If you could introduce yourself for the record, please, and then please proceed.
Sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Liam Gallagher. I'm the Legislative Director for Americans for Prosperity, Kentucky. Today we're speaking in opposition to House Bill 18. House Bill 18 imposes strict new zoning rules that would hurt housing development and limit property rights across our communities. HB 18 creates cumbersome zoning requirements by forcing any residential project proposing multifamily housing in a traditional single-family zone to undergo a lengthy zoning map amendment process. This legislation includes owner occupancy requirements on single-family homes with accessory dwelling units. This requirement interferes with property owners' rights to reasonably use their property as they see fit. And I do want to be honest, we sent out a key vote alert last night due to the committee substitute. The committee substitute does make the bill better. It removes the effect on more dense single-family housing, and we appreciate the sponsor on that. It is our belief that regulations concerning housing, land use, and zoning inflate housing costs and hinder both economic expansion and people's ability to move freely. Having enough housing choices is crucial for the development of thriving communities and upward social mobility. Such choices should not be constrained by unnecessary government hurdles. A market should be able to freely respond to the demand of consumers, even when it comes to housing. We want to thank Representative Hodgson for his work on the bill and appreciate his openness in discussing this topic. But for these reasons that I've listed above, we are opposed to House Bill 18, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I believe we are ready for a vote. All those in favor of House Bill 18 as amended by the substitute vote aye. All those against vote no. Will the committee assistant please call the roll?
Representative Ballman? Yes. Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Brown?
Pass.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Doan?
No.
Representative Fleming?
Pass.
Representative Freeland?
Yes.
Representative Griffey? Representative Hampton? Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Lewis?
Aye.
Representative Maddox?
No.
Representative Meredith?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Neighbors?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Rourks?
I briefly explain my vote. I'm going to be a no today because I'm just want to make it really clear that I'm not against adding protections for citizens in order to give them more voice in the planning and zoning process. However, I have been in the past and continue to be against putting the moratorium on Louisville Metro for making their changes to the land development code. I'll look forward to continuing working with the bill sponsor on this issue to try to make these improvements. But today, I'll be a no.
Representative Hampton?
Can I explain my vote?
Yes, please proceed.
I'm going to vote yes today, but there are some things that concern me in the bill. I'd like to reserve my right to reevaluate my vote on the House floor.
Representative Stalker?
Briefly explain my vote. I'm going to be a no today. I don't know how in good faith this body can continue to advocate how important it is for local control and talk about the issues that we have before us with the housing crisis, and then overstep, I think, the overreach what is what we are doing with this bill. So I'm not going to be able to support it.
Representative Witten?
Explain my vote, please. I deeply understand our importance for the need for housing. I also understand the need to take into account current infrastructure to protect our existing constituents. This bill adds those guardrails. I truly appreciate the committee sub that addresses the density issue. I just think that when developments come in, it should be specifically approved by the elected body of council. And that is what your bill does. I appreciate that, and I'll be voting yes today.
Chair Flannery?
Vote aye. All right, it appears we have 14 yes votes. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill as amended should pass. We have a motion and second on the title amendment. All those in favor vote aye. Any against vote nay. Title amendment is adopted. Thank you, Representative Hodgson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, next up, if we could be mindful of time, I'd like to adjourn by 10 o'clock. It's 9:40. We have House Bill 85. Representative Roberts, if you could introduce yourself for the record.
My name is
please
TJ.
Proceed.
My name is TJ Roberts, and I'm the state representative for District 66.
Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 85 simply requires sanitation districts to serve the people before charging them. Right now, our laws currently reflect that users may be charged, but the courts have construed the term user so broadly that sanitation districts are capable of serving individuals that they are not serving through sanitation sewers, not serving through stormwater sewers. The properties do not flow water to those sewers. There's not even a plan to serve those sewers, to serve those properties in the next 5 years that's been approved. And there is no contract between the property owner and the sanitation district. House Bill 85 simply puts in a narrowing of what user means, by indicating that no person or property owner can be charged unless one, their property is connected to the sewer, or there's an approved plan to connect their property to a sewer within the next 5 years, that the property is connected to a storm sewer, or the storm sewer controlled by the sanitation district has water that flows to the property, or that there is a contract between the sanitation district or the property.
Motion on the bill.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any members of the committee with questions or comments? Representative Rorks, you're recognized.
Thank you. Would the bill have any impact on communities required to make upgrades due to federal consent decrees?
Representative, thank you for this question. Right now, this bill would ultimately have an impact of if there's a requirement to make those issues. You cannot charge the user until the plan has been approved to provide that service in 5 years.
Thank you.
Representative Stalker, you're recognized. Okay. Representative Meredith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I fully understand the issue related to actual sanitary sewer service, but I think there's a component of this that deals with storm sewers, correct?
Yes, Representative.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, no one would have a contract or be directly hooked to a storm sewer. Is that correct?
So no one would. So there are individuals who have storm sewer drains that are on their property. Those individuals can be charged, or their property flows into the storm sewer. Those individuals could be charged. But if your property is not even flowing to that storm sewage point, that's where the inability to charge would kick in.
Can I follow up?
Yes, please.
How would you determine if you look at water, water goes kind of wherever water wants to go. How would you determine that some water doesn't flow to a certain storm sewer?
So sanitation districts currently run studies in order to determine where the waters flow. And so, for example, the case that brought about this bill is Sanitation District 1 versus Weinel. Sanitation District 1 did not even dispute by their own studies. The water on that property did not flow to a storm sewer. The sole basis upon which they made those charges was that the person lives in this geographical area that Sanitation District 1 generally services. So I would base it off of what sanitation districts say. If they say that the water flows to their storm drains, I don't have any reason to dispute that. If someone has reason, they should be able to bring that up in court. But ultimately, I would defer to their studies.
One more follow-up.
In the case that you referenced there, would you have any idea how far the property was from a storm sewer in that situation? Because again, what I think you are opening the door to here is a lot of litigation over what would be or what would not be if you've got a general geographic area that is served by the storm sewer system.
So I do not have that number in front of me right now on this case, but what I can just 100% state is that there was no dispute at all that they did not provide sanitation sewage services. They did not provide storm drain sewage services. The water did not flow to it, and they did not even have plans to extend to where either of those services would be provided anywhere near that property.
Any other members of the committee seeking to be recognized? Representative Stalker.
On this same track of as far as how we determine where water flows and who should be charged for that, it has to go someplace. But if you're saying that they are monitoring it and saying that it is not coming from specific homes and residents, my question would be is if this bill goes into effect and passes, how does that change the pricing structure for the individuals who are already receiving a bill? So if you're going to cut a significant portion of people out who were helping to kind of carry that weight, that financial weight. So if all of those individuals are removed because it's deemed that their homes are no longer or have never been receiving the services, what does the financial implications look like for the other residents in that area?
So sanitation districts are pretty extensive in their services. This is, I would dispute that it would be a substantial cutback on the number of individuals who could be served. These are ultimately individuals who are very much out in the middle of nowhere, where there is truly no reasonable point on this. Like the Weinel case, this individual is in a deeply rural part of Alexandria, operates on a septic that takes in his sanitary sewage and his storm waters as well. So this would be a very far one. But in terms of the pricing, KRS 220.510 and 220.515 already puts on a reasonableness requirement that the charges must be reasonable. So I would doubt that ultimately this would lead to any significant increases in the price of these services.
Any other members of the committee seeking to be recognized? Seeing none, Representative Roberts, I'll give you the opportunity to speak additionally on this, or if not, we are ready for a vote.
I really don't have much more to add other than I just think that our laws presently reflected that those 5 requirements that I had, those are the individuals who should have been charged. The Campbell County Circuit Court agreed with me whenever this case first came up. This is ultimately just narrowing that language to reflect the will of the intent of the legislature whenever we first codified KRS Chapter 220. For that reason, I would urge that this bill be passed.
All right, seeing no other questions, we are ready for a vote. All in favor, vote aye. All opposed, vote nay. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Ballman.
Aye.
Representative Bray.
Aye.
Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
Yes.
Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis. Representative Maddox.
Yes.
Representative Meredith.
Permission to explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. From my line of questioning, I think you know where I'm going to be going on this. Obviously, I certainly see the piece of this regarding sanitary sewers and not charging anyone for the sanitary sewer that is not hooked directly to that sanitary sewer. However, these systems managed by SD1 do carry out throughout all of northern Kentucky, and they do have a service provided to most of, if not all, the residents of the region. By virtue of the fact that those storm sewers are not managed by a local government, the fee is necessary to maintain the infrastructure, and somehow I would think that if you limit the ability to do this, there's going to have to be an overarching concern of the local governments putting in a tax to cover that for future improvements or repairs to that system. And so for that reason and the storm sewer piece of this, I'm voting no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
No.
Representative Stalker.
No.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Yes. The bill does have the requisite number of yes votes. The bill passes. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass on the House floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, last on the agenda, Representative Raymer, if you could go to the table, please. All right. Representative Raymer, we have House Bill 371. If you could introduce yourself for the record, please, and please proceed.
Representative Rebecca Raymer, District 15. So House Bill
All
3...
right, if I could stop you for a second, I do believe we have a committee sub. Do we have a motion on the committee sub? All right, we have a motion and second. All those in favor of the committee sub vote aye. Aye. Any opposed vote nay. The ayes have it. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. So House Bill 371 is pretty simple. This has to deal with residual waste landfills. Currently, if an industry is operating a residual waste landfill for their sole purpose, they are not subject to local determination. When that statute was written, I don't think they ever foresaw that the industry would be located in one county and the landfill would be located in another.
Second.
So this bill just simply says that you are still exempt from local determination if you're located in the same county. If your industry is located in a separate county from where the waste is generated separately from the landfill, then you would be subject to local determination. And that is the full intent of the bill. We had a committee sub to just kind of make it more concise and make sure that that was what the bill was doing. And I will say, in conversations last night with people much more intelligent on these matters than me, there is a chance that there will be a floor amendment just to clarify it further, but that the intent will not change at all. That is the true intent of the bill, and we're just making sure that it's very clear in the verbiage.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee members? All right. I believe your committee sub does address some of the, I guess, heartburn. I believe it's a good step. So from my conversations with folks, they seem to at least to be mostly satisfied. And perhaps if there's a need for a floor amendment, we'll address this. But I think it's important to note that this is for new projects, and if they're moving out of county, then local determination is triggered at that point. So
correct.
I don't think it'll have any impact on existing operations, and especially if it's already within a county.
That's correct.
All right. Seeing no questions, it appears that we are ready for a vote. All those in favor vote aye. All opposed vote nay. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baumann. Representative Bray. Aye. Representative Brown.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
No.
Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Griffey. Representative Hampton.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis.
Aye.
Representative Maddox.
No.
Representative Meredith. Representative Neighbors.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Rourks.
Yes.
Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Witten.
Yes.
Chair Flannery.
Vote yes. All right, we do have the requisite votes for passage. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill as amended should pass on the House floor. That is the last bill for consideration today. Are there any members that came in late that would like to record a vote? Representative
Yes,
Maddox?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I would like to record a yes vote on House Bill 321, House Bill 403, and House Bill 555, as well as my attendance. Thank you.
Any other members needing to record a vote? Having no further business before us, do I have a motion and second for adjournment?
Motion.
Motion, second, meeting's adjourned.